Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever feel unappreciated, unseen, or unheard, do not be afraid to step back. Because in the quiet of your absence, the truth will reveal itself. And when you return, if you choose to, you will come back not as someone seeking approval, but as someone who truly knows their worth. Your absence has power. Use it wisely. Your value is not determined by how often you are present in someone's life, nor is it measured by how much you give to others. Too often we fall into the trap of believing that constant availability equates to importance. We convince ourselves that if we always say yes, always show up, and always meet the needs of those around us, we will be loved, respected, and valued. But the truth is, self-worth is not defined by presence. It is defined by how you perceive yourself, how you nurture your own growth, and how much you recognize your own significance, even when no one else does. Imagine a person who is always there for everyone, always listening, always helping, always sacrificing. At first, they are appreciated. People rely on them, seek their support, and turn to them in times of need. But over time, their presence becomes expected, taken for granted. The more they give, the less others acknowledge their efforts. It is not because they are unworthy, but because their constant availability creates an illusion that their presence is a given, not a gift. This is where understanding self-worth becomes essential. Your value is not in how much space you fill in someone's life, but in the impact you create, whether near or far. There is power in knowing that you do not have to be everywhere all the time to matter. Your presence should not be a convenience for others. It should be a conscious choice that you make based on mutual respect and appreciation. Stepping back and recognizing your own importance allows you to see who genuinely values you. Those who truly respect you will not need your constant presence to acknowledge your worth. They will understand that you too have needs, aspirations, and boundaries. On the other hand, those who only appreciate you when you are giving, doing, or sacrificing may never truly recognize your value until you are no longer there. And that is okay. Your self-worth is not dependent on their realization. It is dependent on your own understanding of yourself. This is why it is crucial to cultivate a sense of self that is independent of external validation. If your sense of worth is tied to how much you are needed, you will always find yourself exhausted, emotionally drained, and searching for approval. But when you learn to value yourself, regardless of how often you are acknowledged, you free yourself from the pressure of constantly proving your worth. At times, is necessary. It allows you to step back, reflect, and see the world from a different perspective. It teaches you that your value does not decrease simply because you choose to prioritize yourself. It reinforces the fact that your presence should be cherished, not demanded. Do not be afraid to take a step back. Do not feel guilty for setting boundaries. And most importantly, never let anyone make you believe that your worth is dependent on how often you show up. You are valuable, whether you are near or far, seen or unseen, present or absent. Your worth is yours to define. When you step away from people, situations, or environments, something incredible happens. You begin to see things more clearly. Often we get so caught up in the flow of life, in our daily interactions, in constantly being there for others, that we don't stop to ask, who is truly there for me? It is in your absence that the truth reveals itself. The moment you remove yourself, you start to understand the difference between those who genuinely care and those who were simply benefiting from your presence. There are people who only value you for what you can do for them. As long as you are available, offering support, solving their problems, listening to their stories, they will keep you close. But the real test of any relationship is what happens when you stop showing up in the way they expect. Do they check on you? Do they make an effort to reach out? Do they value you for who you are, beyond what you can provide? When you take a step back, you will quickly realize who appreciates you and who only sees you as a convenience. Absence reveals the depth of relationships. The people who genuinely care will notice when you are gone, and not just because they need something from you, but because they miss your presence. They will make an effort, not because they expect you to give, but because they truly value you as a person. On the other hand, those who never truly value you will either not notice your absence or will only reach out when they need something again. This realization can be painful, but it is also liberating. It teaches you to stop pouring your energy into relationships that are one-sided. It helps you detach from people who only stay in your life for their benefit. It allows you to focus on the relationships that are built on mutual respect, love, and sincerity. We often fear stepping back because we worry about losing connections. But the truth is, any bond that breaks when you are no longer constantly present was never truly strong to begin with. Distance does not weaken genuine relationships, it strengthens them. It shows you who values you beyond the surface level. This understanding also extends beyond personal relationships. It applies to workplaces, friendships, and even social circles. If your presence is only valued when you are working tirelessly, giving endlessly, or sacrificing yourself, then your absence will be the perfect test. If they appreciate you only when you are useful, then you were never truly appreciated in the first place. The most beautiful thing about stepping back is that it gives you clarity. It allows you to refocus your energy on those who reciprocate, those who value you, whether you are near or far. And most importantly, it teaches you that your worth is not determined by how much you give, but by how deeply you are truly valued, even in your absence. Growth does not happen in crowded spaces. Just like a tree needs room for its roots to spread and its branches to stretch toward the sky, you too need space to evolve emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. The mistake many people make is believing that constant engagement, involvement, and presence are necessary for progress. The reality is that stepping away, creating distance, can often be the most powerful catalyst for personal growth. When you are constantly surrounded by the same people, the same conversations, and the same routines, it becomes easy to fall into a pattern of comfort. While comfort may feel safe, it does not always lead to development. Growth happens when you allow yourself to step away from the familiar, giving yourself the space to reflect, challenge your thoughts, and explore new possibilities. Sometimes it is only in solitude that you truly hear your own voice, unfiltered by external influences. Imagine a student who never takes a moment to step back and study alone. If they are always in a group, always in discussion, always listening to others' opinions, they may never have the opportunity to develop their own understanding. It is in the moments of quiet, when they sit alone with their thoughts, that they begin to process what they have learned and make it their own. The same applies to personal growth. You need moments of absence, moments where you detach from constant interaction to absorb, reflect, and transform. Space also allows you to evaluate the quality of your surroundings. When you take a step back from certain relationships, work environments, or social settings, you gain a clearer perspective on whether these influences are helping you grow or holding you back. It is difficult to see the full picture when you are too close to it. But when you create distance, you start to notice what truly aligns with your purpose and what does not. Some of the greatest transformations happen in solitude. When artists create, they often retreat into their own world, away from distractions, to fully immerse themselves in their craft. When thinkers and innovators develop groundbreaking ideas, it is usually in moments of deep contemplation, not in the middle of noise and chaos. The same principle applies to your own personal development. Taking time away from distractions allows you to rediscover your passions, refine your goals, and reimagine your future without the pressure of external expectations. Another powerful aspect of space is that it fosters emotional resilience. When you are always surrounded by people, you may become dependent on their validation, their approval, or their opinions. But when you learn to be comfortable in your own company, you build an inner strength that is not easily shaken. You develop the confidence to trust yourself, make independent decisions, and grow in ways that are true to who you are. If you ever feel overwhelmed, stagnant, or lost in the noise of everyday life, do not be afraid to step back. Give yourself the space to breathe, to think, and to grow. Because just like a tree that thrives when it has room to expand, you, too, will flourish when you allow yourself the space to evolve. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences a person can go through. It feels like a door being slammed in your face, like a harsh reminder that you are not wanted, not chosen, not enough. But what if rejection was not a punishment, but a redirection? What if every time you faced rejection, life was simply guiding you towards something better, something more aligned with your purpose, your growth, and your happiness? We view rejection as the end of the road. We internalize it, believing that it is a reflection of our worth. If a job opportunity slips away, we think we were not skilled enough. If a relationship ends, we assume we were not lovable enough. If a dream does not materialize, we tell ourselves we were not capable enough. But the truth is, rejection is not about what you lack. It is about where you are meant to be. Think of all the times you wanted something so badly only to later realize that it would not have been right for you. Maybe you were rejected from a job only to land an even better opportunity that suited you more. Maybe you were heartbroken over a failed relationship only to later find someone who truly valued and understood you. The moments that once felt like setbacks were actually setting you up for something greater. Rejection forces you to pause and reevaluate. It makes you ask questions that you might not have considered otherwise. Was that truly the right path for me? Was I settling for less than I deserved? Was I pursuing something that did not align with my true purpose? These are difficult questions, but they lead to clarity. They help you shift your focus from what was lost to what can be gained. Another important lesson that rejection teaches is resilience. Every time you face rejection and choose to move forward, you become stronger. You develop an inner confidence that is not shaken by temporary failures. You begin to understand that your worth is not determined by external acceptance, but by your own belief in yourself. Think of some of the most successful people in the world. Authors whose books were rejected multiple times before becoming bestsellers. Entrepreneurs who failed over and over before building successful businesses. Artists whose work was dismissed before being celebrated. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not the absence of rejection, but the willingness to see rejection as a stepping stone rather than a dead end. Rejection is life's way of removing you from situations that would have limited you. It is a way of closing doors that would have led to unhappiness, mediocrity, or even harm. It is a way of guiding you toward places where you are truly meant to be. So the next time you face rejection, do not see it as the end. See it as a redirection. Trust that life is leading you to something better, something more fitting, something that aligns with who you truly are. Because every rejection is not a loss. It is a lesson, a shift, and most importantly, a sign that your journey is far from over. The only way people realize your value is when you are no longer there. Your presence is a gift, but when it becomes constant, it can be taken for granted. People grow accustomed to having you around, to relying on you, to expecting your time, your energy, and your efforts. They forget that your presence is a choice, not an obligation. That is why your absence can be just as powerful, if not more, than your presence. When you always make yourself available, people may stop recognizing the effort you put in. It is human nature to assume that what is always there will always remain. But when you step back, you give others the opportunity to see what life is like without you. Suddenly, the things they took for granted, your kindness, your support, your wisdom, your patience, become noticeable in their absence. They begin to realize that what they thought was ordinary was actually extraordinary. This is not about playing games or trying to manipulate people into valuing you. It is about understanding that sometimes people need space to appreciate what they have. Imagine a song you love. You play it over and over again until eventually it fades into the background. But when you stop listening to it for a while and then hear it again, you are reminded of how much you loved it. The same thing happens with people. When you are always there, your presence becomes background noise. But when you step away, those who truly value you will notice the silence you leave behind. Your absence also teaches you about yourself. It helps you understand your own worth beyond what you do for others. Often we tie our identity to how much we give, how much we help, how much we are needed. But who are you when you are not constantly giving? Who are you when you are not defined by your role in someone else's life? Taking a step back allows you to reconnect with yourself, to recognize your own value independent of anyone else's validation. Not everyone will notice or care when you are gone, and that too is a lesson. It may be painful, but it is also revealing. If someone does not appreciate you in your absence, they likely did not appreciate you in your presence either. This understanding frees you from one-sided relationships and allows you to invest your energy where it is truly valued. Your absence is not a punishment. It is a tool of awareness. It shows others what they have taken for granted, and it shows you where you truly belong. It helps you differentiate between those who love you for who you are and those who only value what you provide. And most importantly, it reminds you that your presence should be a privilege, not an expectation. So do not be afraid to step back when you need to. Those who truly value you will not need your constant presence to remember your worth. And when you return, if you choose to, you will do so with the confidence of someone who knows they are not just wanted but truly valued. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your energy, and your presence, solitude can feel uncomfortable. We are conditioned to believe that being alone means being lonely, that stepping away from others is a sign of weakness or isolation. But in reality, solitude is one of the most powerful tools for healing. It is in moments of absence from the noise, the expectations, and the distractions that you truly begin to heal, reflect, and rebuild yourself. Healing is not something that happens in the presence of others. It happens in the quiet moments when you sit with yourself and face the thoughts and emotions you have been avoiding. When you are constantly surrounded by people, their opinions, their judgments, and their expectations can cloud your own understanding of yourself. But when you step away, when you embrace solitude, you give yourself the space to listen to your own voice. You begin to understand what you truly feel, what you truly need, and what truly matters to you. There is a reason why some of the greatest transformations happen in solitude. After experiencing pain, loss, or disappointment, many people instinctively seek company, hoping that others will fill the void left behind. While support is important, true healing cannot come from external sources. It has to come from within. When you take time to be alone, you give yourself permission to grieve, to process, and to release the emotions that have been weighing you down. You allow yourself to be vulnerable, not for the sake of anyone else, but for your own growth. Solitude also allows you to rebuild your sense of self. When you have been hurt, whether by relationships, failures, or life's unexpected challenges, it is easy to lose sight of who you are. You may find yourself questioning your worth, your decisions, and your purpose. But in solitude, away from the opinions and influences of others, you have the opportunity to reconnect with yourself. You can explore your passions, rediscover your strengths, and redefine your goals without being shaped by external pressures. Healing in solitude is not about shutting people out. It is about prioritizing yourself. It is about recognizing that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to take a step back and focus on your own well-being. The world will continue to move, people will continue to have expectations, and life will keep throwing challenges your way. But unless you take the time to heal, you will continue to carry wounds that were never given the chance to close. Many people fear solitude because they associate it with emptiness, but solitude is not empty. It is full of potential. It is where you find clarity, where you cultivate inner peace, and where you gather the strength to move forward. If you find yourself feeling lost, exhausted, or overwhelmed, do not be afraid to take a step back. Give yourself the gift of solitude, because in that quiet space, beyond the noise of the world, you will find something invaluable. You will find yourself. Your absence is not a sign of weakness, nor is it a loss. It is a powerful reminder of your worth. In a world that often measures value by presence, remember that sometimes stepping away speaks louder than showing up. Your absence reveals the truth about relationships, allows you to grow, redirects you toward what truly belongs to you, and teaches others to appreciate your presence. It is in your solitude that you heal, in your distance that you find clarity, and in your silence that you reclaim your voice. Do not fear stepping back when necessary. The people who truly value you will not require your constant presence to recognize your worth. Your self-respect, your growth, and your well-being should never be sacrificed for the sake of being available to others. You are not defined by how often you are seen, but by the impact you create, whether near or far. So embrace your absence as much as your presence. Let it be a lesson, a gift, and a testament to your strength. Because in the end, those who deserve you will always recognize your value, not just when you are there, but even when you are not.